What's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. Phil Perry alongside. Patriots dropped to 11-3. As you well know, they have a game against the Ravens this weekend. Not going to be a layup. Why are they 11-3? You want the best summation of why the Patriots didn't score more points on Sunday than the Buffalo Bills? Here it is.
Any mistakes that you make get magnified against an excellent quarterback.
Everybody say it with me. Any mistakes that you make get magnified against an excellent quarterback. That's refereeing mistakes. That's specialty teams mistakes. That's third down mistakes. That's play calling mistakes. That's tackling mistakes. You can make those against a Joe Burrow when the team stinks. You can make those against Tua. You can make them against Baker Mayfield. You can make them against, maybe even Lamar Jackson. You can't make them against Josh Allen in 2025. Phil, am I right or am I right?
You're right. I think the thing that would be alarming to a degree, right, without going overboard, talking about 11-3 team, would be that the mistakes were really across the board. You can find them defensively, on special teams, and offensively. That was about as bad a half of football that they've played. So, you can't survive that against Josh Allen. I'm not sure, Tom, you would have been able to survive that against Baker Mayfield,
I think
for example. You only might have because you had a 21-0 lead in the first half.
It's guaranteed touchdowns against Josh Allen when he's in, Braveheart mode, which he was in once they went down 21-0. So once you give it to him at the 45 or wherever the field position was, I'm not sure Baker Mayfield is the same layup. You might be able to escape with a missed field goal and a touchdown against him or something. I'm sorry, I'm being contrary. It's your show too.
No, it's okay. He played great. Josh Allen played great. Can you show me the superhero moment? Because I didn't feel like there was a superhero moment. It was an entire half of well-played football, but you can't find the 70-yard scramble where he's hurdling three guys for a touchdown. And that, to me, is what makes that second half kind of a tough one to swallow for the Patriots, was because he just made, not fundamental play, but he made sound football play after sound football play, and you had no answer.
Sometimes a superhero has to save several people from a burning building before it collapses. Sometimes a superhero has a quiet day, and all he's doing is getting cats out of trees and helping old ladies across the street. He was just helping old ladies across the street one by one by one.
There's a lot of old ladies in that second half.
A lot of cats, a lot of old ladies. My father used to say, I hate kids, cats, and old ladies. I like him. I miss him. Meanwhile, a simple look at the box score shows Buffalo outscored the Patriots 35-10 after the Patriots took that 21-0 lead. The touchdown, of course, was a broken play, a singular brilliant run by Travion Henderson. So the offense bogged down. And it seems, after listening to Mike Vrabel on WEEI, that Mike felt the offense bogged down in part because the play calls and the ability to execute just weren't synced up. Here's Mike Vrabel wondering if the players had full confidence in what was being asked of them.
We want to have the balance and the players trust what we're calling, and that the coaches trust the players and the players trust each other to do their job.
So Mike seems to be putting his foot on the accelerator and then taking it off right there. But he's saying, look, the play calls need to be ones that the players have confidence in being able to execute. And this is the ongoing pointed criticism towards Josh McDaniels that we've seen that gets covered with caveats by the time Mike finishes a sentence. But it seems pointed because we're going to play a few more.
Do you think maybe the source of any criticism he may have for the play calling is rooted in some of what you and I talked about right after the game, which was how aggressive were they? How, should they have been maybe more aggressive, less aggressive? They did only run the ball once in the third quarter. And they ended the game, and I know this is because of a couple of monster, explosive touchdown runs from Travion Henderson, but they end the game averaging almost 10 yards a carry. And I wonder if there's any part of, not that he is an always old school blue collar philosopher when it comes to the sport of football, but is there any part of Mike Vrabel who sees that and says, Josh, can we run? We can't keep the ball at all.
Right.
And we seem to be running it pretty well. Can you try more than, I know we ran for -1 on that first run in the third quarter, but could you run it a little bit more, please?
And that would be, that's the fine print that I think fans, media, players, anybody looking at this game, they're not going down and looking at. They went -1, then they threw it and got 4, then they got sacked. Then they punted it, and by the time the ball came back to them, it was 24-21. And they tried to construct a drive again, and they had a litany of errors, including a offsetting 15-yarders on the sideline with Ramondre Stevenson, and then a hold and a false start. It didn't have a chance to. So I'm not sure.
Well, you did
I'm
get it back.
I'm not sure what you can finger.
Well, you got the ball, and you did run it, and you scored a long touchdown, a 65-yard touchdown, with the Bills actually in the lead on the next drive, their first drive of the fourth quarter. I do wonder if, you're right. There just weren't a lot of opportunities. The volume, the sample size of offensive plays is so small. It's hard for me to criticize the play calling. I didn't feel like it was necessary after the game, and I still don't really feel that way now.
And it's so weird that the most pointed criticism that we hear of any player or coach on this continues to be directed at the offense of McDaniels. Maybe that's just the nature of the business. When you're an offensive coordinator, if you run it and it doesn't work, you should have thrown it. If you throw it and it didn't work, you should have run it. You don't really do that with defense. It's more reactionary. But it's interesting because it's pointed and it went on for a couple minutes here.
Can I just give one more very quick play calling note? I was watching some of the coaches tape with our buddy Taylor Kiles of CLNS before Mike Vrabel's press conference on Monday, and we watched that final fourth down play. And it turns out that play, based on what we could see and what we could gather, looked very, very similar, if not exactly the same, as the third down conversion they threw to Stephon Diggs. It was 3rd and 4. They ended up getting 16 yards on a little in-cut. Mm-hmm. So that one worked before. You called it again. The Bills adjusted. It looks like they were a little bit more aggressive in terms of jamming receivers. They dropped the ends out. They changed their approach, having seen that play before. And so just to get back to Vrabel's commentary on this, that felt like a play they were comfortable running in critical situations. So, again, I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with that particular play call. I just would look at Buffalo and say they adjusted. The Patriots really didn't, and they ended up winning on that rep.
All right, so here's a little bit more rock kicking, subtle rock kicking, ambiguous rock kicking about the balance between the play call and the execution.
I do always understand that there's a great balance between the play call and the execution and obviously the decisions that we make. And there were times along the game that, all 3 of those were really good. And then there was times in the game where those really didn't align and they weren't very good. And so that's on all of us. We want to have the balance and the players trust what we're calling and that the coaches trust the players and the players trust each other to do their job.
So you hear those comments after they lose for the first time in 10 games, first time since September. And it just makes you say, okay, well, of all the things that happened in the game, all the times that the Bills scored touchdowns, the most pointed criticism comes toward really, do the coaches trust the players to execute the plays? Do the players trust the coaches? You were at the press conference Monday when Mike spoke openly, very transparent, good mood. I thought he was good in his Monday press conference. What are you gathering about? Is he just matter of fact about this, or is there an undercurrent of agitation?
Well, I think he just wants to make it clear that nobody played well enough in the second half, because you can see the 5 straight touchdowns. You can see the 35 points on the scoreboard at the end. You can see that the Bills averaged basically 7 yards per play in the second half and say, boy, the defense really blew it. And they did. But Vrabel, maybe it's because he's a defensive-minded guy. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's because he felt as though, and I asked him specifically if he thought the defense was fatigued. But the reason I think, the primary reason you would look at the offense is not because of their overall production. They scored 31 points. Most football games you should be able to win with 31 points. But they didn't have the ball in the second half, and they weren't able to extend drives. And the defense, it looked to me, was tired by the end. And so I wonder if that is just in the back of his mind and saying, listen, we're going to win as a team, we're going to lose as a team. When we lose in that fashion, I don't want it to be all on one unit, because it's not, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, but the explanation defensively, by and large, is the one that I gave. Hey, Josh Allen. Why did your defense let up 5 touchdowns? Josh Allen. I mean, you can't let him have an inch, and he's going to get him. We gave him inches, but it's Josh Allen. And if the offense fails, I'm not sure about some of the play calls. Maybe we didn't trust him. Maybe,
Well, isn't that because there's no Josh Allen on the defensive side for Buffalo? That's a group that you should be able to take advantage of.
Sure, but you're letting one side of the ball off the hook. But it wouldn't be as noteworthy, Phil, if it hadn't been going on throughout the season, in which I think the offense and McDaniels' work has been scrutinized by Mike.
That's fair.
And openly scrutinized at the podium or on the radio.
And if not scrutinized, certainly like the credit seems to be spread out, right? Anytime he's asked about Josh McDaniels and his impact on the offense. I don't think he is letting the defense off the hook, though. So I guess I disagree with you a little bit there, because even though he was as complimentary as he was to Josh Allen last night, he was asked specifically about Josh Allen, how he's able to bring these guys back, and he gave a long answer on why Josh Allen is good. He started off his press conference right after the game saying we didn't get enough stops. So it started with the defense there. I asked him specifically about the long touchdown, not crazy long, 15-yard-ish touchdown to Dawson Knox in the second half, and he was very critical of the pass rush and what they weren't able to do there and how they faltered on that side there. So there's blame to be spread around. I think there is certainly blame to be put on the offense because of how it impacted their defense.
I'm just saying it's just interesting to me, and the reason I'm highlighting this is it's really pointed criticism in an open forum of the play calling by the head coach. And I just had a hard time walking out of that game saying, play calling was a problem. But on the flip side, what is the trust issue? Does Josh call plays that are off the wall that the players have not practiced enough to succeed at? Are 10 guys doing the right thing and one isn't? Does Josh not get innovative enough because he doesn't trust the players? He's driving at something there, and he's not making it abundantly clear. However, he did make it abundantly clear his feelings on the double pass.
But you can only run so many double passes that gain 13 yards. You know what I mean? Like that's cool and it's cute. But you can only run so many of those before, again, you can only dial up so many of those.
All right, that's just straight out patronizing mocking.
It's really cute.
In the context of it, Chris Curtis from EEI was saying, hey, good play calling. They had the double pass. So Mike seizes on things really quick. And he's like, well, we're not looking for 1 million double passes to gain 13 yards. But it is a little bit mocking of an effort to implement a play, use the play, have it be a positive play, and then when it only gains 13 yards, you're like, all that for that? Again, it's noteworthy.
Yeah, I wonder how the week of preparation went, right? And, maybe was there so much time spent on some of these trick plays that it took away from some of the other plays that, weren't successful on third down, for example, when you just got to be a sound drop-back passing team? Were there maybe new plays that we don't recognize that maybe they're not as used to running or as comfortable running? That's a harder thing for us to say. I'm talking plays that aren't trick plays, that, on third down, drop back pass, and maybe they installed it during the bye week. And maybe that's not the right time to run a play like that. Maybe you want to wait a little bit later in the season. Those are really difficult things. It would be hard for me to imagine that would be the case, but these comments are coming from somewhere.
There's just a real undercurrent there that's existed for months. And every time that I've been asked about it, I myself have said, I think you're making something out of nothing. But then you lose for the first time in 10 weeks, and you allow 5 touchdowns in a row, and the offense barely has the ball. And when you get asked, well, what's up with the second half momentum change, and you're like, I don't know if we spent a lot of time calling the right plays, in essence. That's basically what it boils down to, that 5 or 6 minutes. I think we might, and, we're not hanging anybody for that, but we have to do a better job. Do you think McDaniels hears this? I would imagine he probably does. And says, "What do I want to? Do I want to stick around and get parsed week in and week out for my play calling when we just put up 31 points and we have an MVP candidate and this team won 8 games the last 2 years?" I mean, is there a point at which you could envision these coworkers saying, "Yeah, I don't love it"?
I guess if you're Josh McDaniels,
is that bad for the Patriots if that happened?
I would say so, yeah. But unless he has a head coaching opportunity banging down his door, what's a better what's a better alternative than working with Drake Maye and being in an area physically in the country that you like?
Oh, somebody not making fun of your double pass.
He called it cute. That's not making fun. That's cute.
Vrabel apologist over there. All right, meanwhile, the weather. Phil did ask indeed about the weather and how much that impacted Drake Maye.
Drake's been so accurate. Like, did you feel like the weather played into any inaccurate moments he may have had?
No, I mean, I just think that these are decisions, and you have to understand that there's going to be disguise, and it's going to look differently, probably, post-snap, and being able to come off things and progress, and he'll, I'm sure, tell you all those things, and, we'll be back, we'll coach it up, and we'll get back to work.
The reason I asked that, Tom, is just because Maye has been so accurate, and he's leading the league in so many categories, whether it's completion percentage or completion percentage over expected, or he's just been so good with his touch on the football and putting it where he wants to. To see a game like yesterday, it was almost like, what ailed him maybe at the beginning of that Bengals game. Remember, we watched some of those passes, and you could understand why he would try to go in a certain area with those passes, but they were just so far off the mark for basically the first quarter of that game. It felt like that kind of situation where it's hard to explain. The ball's not coming out of his hand sideways or anything.
Nope. It's not wobbling.
But he's spraying it high. He's spraying it behind. He's spraying it low to Mac Hollins, who still somehow catches it and picks up 5 yards. It just felt like an uncharacteristically inaccurate game from Drake Maye. And so for a guy who hasn't played a lot of games in December in New England, and it's snowing and wet, and it wouldn't surprise me if the weather had an impact, although Vrabel made it pretty clear it felt like it was more decision-making to him and not just plain accuracy.
Decision-making in terms of he decided to throw it a particular way, or his decision was clouded by things that Buffalo was doing?
I think it's the second thing that he's seizing on, but I think maybe the issue, the as important or as significant issue was just his inability to place the ball where he wanted, because there were moments where he was unbothered, he knew where to go with the football, he was in rhythm, and still he throws it over Hunter Henry's head and it's almost picked. It hits Jordan Poyer in the face mask. Like, I don't know how that's a bad decision. That's just, to me, a bad throw. Now, the bad decision stuff, I give Buffalo a lot of credit. They came into this game disguising coverage in a number of different ways, and we talked about it on the pregame show. They're among the league leaders in terms of their rate at which they disguise coverage. And they did a great job of, I think specifically, showing a lot of pressure at the line, dropping guys out and into passing lanes that Drake Maye might be looking to when sensing pressure or when assuming there would be pressure on him quickly. Okay, let me dump it off quick to this guy over the middle. Oh, wait, there's a body that just dropped off the line of scrimmage that was just hovering over my center, and now he's 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, and he's taken away that crossing route. They combined that with two high safeties, taking away the deep passes that we know he likes so much, and I think it made him hesitant, and that, to me, was a big issue yesterday, and I wonder if we see a lot more of that for him moving forward.
You would rather it be hesitancy because of zone blitzes or weather-related than simple gagaroo?
Oh, sure.
You don't want it to be gag reflex.
You don't want it to be the pressure getting to you. I think you'd rather it be hesitancy because of scheme, even over weather, Tom. I mean, there's nothing you could do about the weather. You're going to play important games here late in the season, and there's a decent chance the football's wet. So that to me feels like something you should be able to improve. But I guess we'll see. Again, this is new for everybody.
All right, and we are going to get into the next matchup and the fact that the Baltimore Ravens, who the Patriots will see on Sunday Night Football, just whitewashed the Bengals. Back in a second. What's up, everybody? We are back at it again. Here's the early line for Sunday night. Ravens -2.5 at home, one of the best press boxes in the National Football League to watch a game. Your total is 48.5. Couple key stats for you. Ravens are 31st in the red zone offensively. 44% of the time they're scoring touchdowns. That's putrid.
That's amazing.
But they are number one in rushing average in terms of yards per carry, 5.2. Defensively, 31st in sacks per pass attempt. They ain't going to get after you now. But John Harbaugh liked the way his club played on Sunday.
I feel like we've been playing really good defense for many number of weeks. We played good defense last week. We played good defense the week before. But coming up with those plays is a difference maker. When you come up with those plays, that's what creates a performance like this, and the guys did that. Zach has been great. The coaches have been great. I think they had a really good coverage plan. Joe Burrow is the best that you're ever going to see in terms of dissecting coverages and knowing where to go with the ball. And I thought we did a really good job in the back end of disguising, and then even when he made his completion, showing up and making tackles and not giving him anything deep down the field. So hats off to Zach, the whole staff. They've done a great job all year.
Ironically, Phil, the Patriots played the Bills, who had just played the Bengals. And now they're going to play the Ravens, who had just played the Bengals. The Bengals were emasculated by both clubs.
That is interesting.
Thanks. I don't know if it means anything.
I don't know if it means anything,
but
though.
They gave Joe Burrow a hell of a time.
They did, and I think they have started to find something defensively that's allowing them to play a little bit better of late. Is this just when Kyle Van Noy flips the switch and he just changes everything for them?
Quick slant zone.
You should get him on the program this week.
I texted him, said, "No, good play." So thanks, guy.
Okay, how about a little help on the content side of things? He's an aspiring media member. Sure he is. Come on. He's on TV all the time, including on Quick Slants.
Requires me
Kyle, this is your official invitation. Quick Slants this week. You've got time. People think these football players are so busy. He's got time. You got time. Come on. It'll be fun. Anyway, I think they are better than you think defensively, and the run game offensively would concern me because, again, Buffalo, James Cook, almost 5 yards per carry. They've been one of the worst run defenses, Tom, in football since Week 9. This is an ongoing issue for them, and they're about to see one of the most efficient rushing attacks in football.
11 carries for 100 yards for Derrick Henry. 150 yards on 11 attempts for old Lamar Jackson. 2 touchdowns, and the only pick went kabonging off the hands of Zay Flowers. He played really good. So Baltimore still has a glimmer of postseason hopes because the Steelers are easily tracked down. So this is not an easy game for the Patriots.
It's not.
It ain't panic time if they drop to 11-4.
No, it's not panic time. Mm-hmm. Nope. You've got.
They got 11 wins. Isn't that bizarre? You could go 0-4 at the end and still end up 11-6.
Right. Yeah. That would be a problem. You should be able to beat the Jets. You should be able to beat the Dolphins, even though the Dolphins are playing a little bit better.
Imagine 3 picks against the Jets.
Guess what? The Dolphins do well.
Jets still don't have an interception this year.
Dolphins run the ball well, too. Yeah. You got to figure this out. Kyrus Tonga maybe gets a little more healthy with another week back. Milton Williams can't play in this Ravens game, but can come back the next week. Robert Spillane looks like he's on the verge of a return after not playing on Sunday. So you're getting some reinforcements. You have to hope that helps you against the rush.
All right. Taking a wider look at the American Football Conference. Let's look at it right now. Here's your AFC Conference standings. As you can see, Denver stands alone. Patriots right behind them. Patriots still in command for the division. A jumble of teams. Really, the Patriots should not be caught for the number 2 seed, if you ask me. If you ask this reporter. Jacksonville has a very difficult schedule down the stretch. They're 1 game behind, but not happening. Chargers, the Patriots should be fine. They should be the 2 seed.
It should be the 2 seed. I think it is. It's a disappointment that they end up losing the 1 seed, though. I think that could have been hugely advantageous had they been able to acquire that thing.
Jags, Chiefs, Chargers are the final 3 games for the Denver Broncos. Chiefs game just took on a whole new meaning. But Jaguars and so the Patriots are going to benefit one way or the other from the outcome of that game. Jaguars are right up the Patriots' chimney from behind. Mm-hmm. And at the top of the chimney, up top, Denver. And down
Fighting
the chimney.
Bo Nixes. Yeah. He looked good against the Packers.
He did look good. You know who else looked not that bad? J.J. McCarthy. Okay, that irascible guy, Sean McDermott, was at the podium after the game Sunday. It's his job. It's what he had to do. This quote just plain amused me. He was asked about doing anything about the slow starts his Bills team has had.
Kind of done it time and again, second half of games this season. Obviously, it's a sign of remarkable resilience, but is it problematic in a sense, too, like some of the slow starts?
Always a but, Jay. Always a but. How about an and? That's something we have to work on. Something we have to, get into a rhythm sooner. But there's also an ability to adjust during a game. Anybody can come up with a game plan. But it's also what happens when they take certain things away. Are you able to pivot and adjust? And I think that's a sign of a great staff.
Meanwhile, that had nothing pertinent. But does it feel good not letting them celebrate today? A reporter asked of the New England Patriots and Sean McDermott.
It feels good to win. It does. I mean, we came in here to play a football game. We're not really into their goals. We're into our own journey, and we have a lot of respect for them, and their coaches do a great job. So, we just wanted to play as good as we could and get a win, and we did.
All right, presented without comment. On now we go to Chris Jones, learning at the podium that his team had met the end of their 2025 playoff road.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Still have a fighting chance. Are we out of the playoffs? We are? Okay.
I saw people registering surprise that he didn't know. I just don't think these guys spend a lot of time looking at the standings. They look at the matchups. They look at the guys they're playing against. They go home. They play with their kids. They get their lift in. They get their treatment. They just try and win all the games. Sometimes fans, media, we know that stuff better than they do. I mean, I'm surprised to an extent, but I'm not stunned.
I'm not stunned either because I don't think it's the kind of thing you necessarily address as a coaching staff in a team meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Hey, boys, and just FYI, if we lose this one, we're cooked. We're toast. See, might as well go home. So let's do the best we can, all right? No, you're going to try to do the best you could before I mention that, but now I really want you to try extra hard. Yeah, it just doesn't work that way. You would think as a player, Tom, you have enough interest in the fate of your team that you would be on top of that kind of stuff, but I think you're right. It's just not the case with everybody.
Not everybody. And Chris, certainly one of the people who is not up on it. Meanwhile, also not up on playing for his football team this year, Brandon Ayuk. Here's Kyle Shanahan, who basically has had it with this guy.
Yeah, we haven't seen him forever. So, I mean, that's a decision they make. It's been pretty simple for me. I mean, I haven't seen him in a month. So, that's and same with our team. So hasn't been an issue with our team at all. We've kind of been plugging away and no big deal. Or it's just something we've been used to for a while. But I know it's new to you guys, so they just officially, I think, had to do that yesterday.
Bullet dodged, Phil.
Boy, you're not kidding. They were going to give this guy a lot of money and give up some real pieces in terms of trade capital, and I guess you're in a better spot now. At the time, it made sense. I didn't criticize their pursuit of Brandon Ayuk, did you?
Probably.
You think so?
I hate fun.
You do hate fun. You hate receivers, too. I got to get to the bottom of that.
I'm not the one who got Steph Diggs bad. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have quick slants later in the week. We got the Next Pats podcast, of course, as well. I want you to enjoy the middle of this week, okay? And the end's going to be terrific, too. We'll talk to you then.